Nobody gets you ready for Utah football more than the KSL Sports Zone.
Ready?
Kyle Whittingham and the Utes hit the road to Waco for a showdown against Baylor. Your home for the best coverage of Utah football is right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. This is Hans Olsen and Scotty G, presented by Mountain Land Supply on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
All right, folks, let's get it. It's your Ute Preview Show. Hans Olsen, Scott Gerard, Frank. Oh, no,
Frankie.
Frank. Frank's not here.
Frankie, no breaks.
Oh, man.
Frankie, two-tone.
Frankie goes to Hollywood. No.
Frankie, clean cuticle. Frankie, glass eye.
Oh, boy.
Where you at, homie?
What other things have you bother you about Frank? Was it the
Frankie
elbow or
too
the
tight.
fingers or what was it?
No, his ankle.
His ankle, that's right.
Yeah. Frankie Jack ankle.
Yeah.
He's got the
Well,
weirdest.
his feet are like pointing in the other direction, isn't it?
Yeah, his ankle. It looks like something that would be on Boban. You know, if you took Boban's ankle and put it on Frank's foot.
Look, Frank is one of the most beautiful human beings we ever associate with.
Yeah.
He and Christian Cox. And so it's okay for Frank to have one deformity that we can make fun of.
Yeah.
It's like webbed toes.
Yeah, it's like that ankle is like, okay, you know what? There's still one part of you that isn't great, but that's it.
And he keeps it covered with a nice sock, probably an $80 sock.
Oh, yeah.
And
he throws it away. He's got new $80 socks that he wears fresh every day.
The sock's just bigger than the other sock.
And his corduroy covers what is left.
Yeah.
So
no, that one sock, somebody could use it for a sleeping bag after he gets done with it.
Well, it already looks like you're storing a chunk of wood in it. It is quite the ankle.
It's like the show Misery, like the movie Misery.
Yeah.
He's hobbled. Frank's been hobbled.
And never run away.
Frank, this is what you get for missing our show.
Yes.
Scotty and I don't like to do this show without you, bud.
I know. It just doesn't feel right. But Utah with a big one as they take on Baylor. Yeah. Utah with back-to-back blowout victories and then a bye week. And again, there was a lot of conversations. Is it a bad time for a bye week? Good time for a bye week? Well, it doesn't matter. It's over now. But Utah's got to channel whatever they had rolling into those first two games into this game against Baylor, because you string together another blowout victory, another 10, 13, 20-point victory. People are going to start to notice, and you have to get style points. Not only just win, but win big.
As I was putting the numbers together this morning, getting ready for the Utah Preview Show, something jumped off the page to me. TCU and Baylor are the same freaking team.
Yes. Yep.
They are the same freaking team, man. Baylor's a little bit better offensively. TCU's a little bit better defensively. But they're both 3-3 in conference play. They both have a non-mobile quarterback. They both throw the ball all over the world. TCU's number 9 in the country in passing, 303. Baylor's number 5 in the country, 313. Only 10 yards more per game through the air, but both of them, they'll ball this thing out. Baylor can't run the ball to save their life. They are number 84 in rushing offense, only putting up 140 yards a game. Just like I was talking about with BYU and TCU, this game slots in really well for Utah, because Utah can niche them. They can kind of pigeonhole them into a passing offense. I think that they've got the dogs to run with them. You saw Utah's injury report.
Oh, yeah. Or lack thereof.
Yeah.
It's wide open.
Nobody on the injury report. Now,
never heard of the player, none.
Lloyd, let me tell you, is that gamesmanship or what is it? Is this?
When there's a couple players that don't play in the game and he's like, well, we thought they were going to play up until 5 minutes before kickoff, and then they twisted their ankle, and so now they're not like
twisted their ankle in warm-ups.
Yeah,
I find it's like there's got to be somebody that's got to be a little bit banged up, just a little bit.
That's what I would think.
Not according,
even then it would be a probable.
Not according to the reports that are coming out. Like, I would love to see a good dose of Dallas Vakale. That would be nice. Like, just give me a healthy portion of all this defensive front.
If you were a coach and you hated the injury reports, much like Kyle Whittingham does, would you do that, or would you list everybody on your entire roster as either questionable or probable?
No, I just would. How would I manage it?
Yeah, you just have your GA do it.
I gamesmanship.
Yeah.
You know what I'm finding about Kalani? He doesn't game it up.
No.
And I don't know how much of it is Kalani and Kyle, or whatever coach, or how much of it's staff, or who's responsible for even putting out the report. Would that be Paul? Would that be?
It's a good question.
Keeler McJunkin? Like who's responsible for putting out the injury report?
Is it the team physician? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either,
You
man.
like that report, by the way? Is that something that's been a positive for you? Good. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. Glad you're getting what you need from it. Good. But I do feel like Utah is the perfect team to match up with Baylor. And Utah's got to get on a plane. They got to go to that place. But I talked about that environment, man.
Yeah.
It's not a tough environment. It's a great environment. It's
Beautiful environment.
great stadium.
Great fans.
Yeah,
But
good money.
not
good
intimidating.
infusion, but just not intimidating. It's not a place that Utah's going to go into and feel the enormity of it and be like, this is a real matchup. Like Texas Tech was awkward, uncomfortable for everybody. It was horrible. Yeah, Baylor's not that way. So I expect Utah to come in and put up a pretty darn good performance. Now, you talked about the momentum coming out of the 2 wins, and you talk about the margin of victory. By the way, I think their margin of victory is number 3 or number 4 in the country.
really?
Yeah, Utah's.
Oh, Utah. Okay.
Utah's
yeah. Yeah,
margin of victory
no.
is number 3 or number 4.
Not surprising at all. Because their losses, I mean, Texas Tech got them a little bit, but the BYU game was close. And then other than that, when they win, they blow teams out.
Yeah, essentially their season-long margin of victory is about 25 points. They're beating teams by 4 scores.
In fact, I'll give you
3 if you're.
the score here. They're beating teams 39.6 to 14.2.
So, yeah, right around 20, close to 25 points.
Yeah. Yep. You nailed it.
So that's Utah.
Yeah.
Utah is a dog team, man. And here's the deal. The healthier you can get Devin Dampier, the better. And here's the other deal. People better start recognizing this offense. Because it is a high-paced, difficult scheme. When people are healthy and it's run right, difficult scheme to defend against. And their offensive numbers are better than their defensive numbers.
Oh, yeah.
The offense, as far as numbers go, the offense has outperformed the Utah defense. With numbers. Scotty.
Yep. I'm just looking at right now, Utah averaging 39.6. The closest in the last 10 years they've been to that number was that 10-4 team that lost to Penn State, and that team averaged 38 points a game. But other than that, it's mostly in the 20s. Only 3 times in the last 10 years has Utah averaged more than 30 points a game. And right now they're
3 times in the last how long?
10 years.
Jeez.
And right now they're at 39.6, almost 40 points per game.
Well, here's the deal. At 39.6, you go put up 48 against Baylor, and you might tip the 40 scale.
Yeah.
Is that about right?
Yeah, that would do it. I mean, you're 0.4 of a point away.
I think that would tip the scale, and I think you would step over the 40 threshold. And that would put you probably number 5 in the country because you already sit number 7 in scoring offense. So you're climbing the rungs pretty quickly. And we've wondered what Kyle Whittingham's teams would be like with a good offense. And now, to a certain extent, you're like, okay, you're getting up and down the field. And by the way, the red zone offense has been nothing short of prolific.
Yeah.
It's as good as it's ever been at the University of Utah.
Yep.
Scoring 32 touchdowns on 37 red zone attempts. 78% touchdown to attempt ratio.
That number's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's number 4 in the country. It's as good as it gets. So when they get to the red zone, they're getting touchdowns. Now you go to Devin Dampier, and we talked about this. I wanted a 3-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio, like minimum 3-1. And right now, Devin Dampier is exactly that. He has a 3-1. Now, finishing stretch, it can't be 3-1. You know, when the chips are stacked against you and you don't have margin, that's when you got to be the ultimate competitor. It can't be 3-1. It's got to be 5-1. It's got to be 5-0. Like, you cannot turn the ball over from here on out.
Yeah.
You've got to play clean, and you've got to show the CFP committee that even if BYU doesn't lose another one, even if Texas Tech doesn't lose another one, even if you don't get an opportunity at the Big 12 championship game to seal your position into the CFP, we got to see more of this team. You've got to make the CFP say, we got to see more of this team. If you just squeak by Baylor and squeak by the Kansas teams, they're going to be like, I think we can live without it. Right?
Oh, yeah.
Even if you run the table, but you squeak by because you're running 3-1 ratios and you're turning the ball over and you're giving them
No, doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
Nope. But if you continue to blow teams out and he finishes the season pushing that to 4-1 or 5-1 overall on the season and doesn't throw an interception the last 3 games of the year, then, yeah, you've got to consider Utah. And you may actually be a blessing in disguise if you don't play in the Big 12 title game because let's say, for example, Texas Tech beats BYU again 29-7. Well, then people are looking at, well, geez, Utah's got 5 consecutive blowouts. Yes, they lost to BYU, but that was 2 months ago.
Yeah.
And Utah might get the edge. I don't think so, but they might. But here's the thing. You can't control that. What you can't control is if you're Devin Dampier, you can't throw those weird, what the hell was that interception? Like he threw in the end zone a couple weeks ago. Like you're like, wait, what were you doing there? What was that? Like you can't have that. No more brain farts. You can't do it.
Yep.
Because more often than not, he's dialed in. But
and that
every
was a
now
10-second hold, too.
Yeah. But every now and then there's that weird thing where it's like, no, none of that.
Yeah, and I think you can do it.
I do too. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think you can do it. You know, just laser focus, stay healthy, and trust your players, trust yourself. Take the sack.
Yes.
Take the sack, man. Go down, take the sack. It's fine. Your offensive line will live to fight another day. They'll probably blame it on a tight end or a running back and say it was their fault anyways. Like, it's just live to fight another day, man. Don't throw that.
Yeah.
Just kick the field goal. You go up by 13. Instead of taking the interception, take the sack. You kick a 48-yard field goal. You go up by 13. Everything's locked and loaded. Instead, you throw the interception. You're like, no, don't keep it close. Don't make the fourth quarter this pressured. I want to give you 3 guys that I think play hero ball down the stretch. So through 3 games, the 3 names we'll call and we'll see the most. Wayshawn Parker, J.J. Buchanan, and John Henry Daly. Those are the 3 guys. I think coming out of this Baylor game, as I worked the numbers and looked at the matchups, getting ready for the Utah Preview Show, the 3 guys that'll do the most damage against Baylor are Wayshawn Parker, J.J. Buchanan, and John Henry Daly. We talk about keeping the momentum. I want John Henry Daly, JHD, to keep the momentum. If John Henry Daly keeps the momentum and Wayshawn Parker keep the momentum, everybody else is right there. Like Scotty, the leaders do it all. Everybody else follows. Leaders do it, everybody else follows. That 1996 Cotton Bowl championship team that went 14-1, that I was on as just a green, know-nothing, dummy true freshman, everybody just followed Shea Muirbrook.
Yeah.
Everybody followed Chad Lewis and Etuli Mili. Like, everybody just followed those guys. I gave you 2 names of guys that will lead, that will shepherd this flock. And it's those 2. It's Wayshawn Parker and it's John Henry Daly. If those dudes ball out, if John Henry Daly gets a blindside hit on Sawyer and Wayshawn Parker breaks off a 24-yarder in the first quarter, it's game on. Now everybody's on high alert. The Kansas teams are looking at them. Baylor's like, nah, we quit. And everybody else just comes along with those guys.
Well, Kyle Whittingham's been a real big fan, and Kyle pays attention to this. He knows he's been around so many different teams that have had good leadership, bad leadership, and this is one of the good ones.
Great leadership. We have tremendous captains this year, not that we haven't in the past, but fortunately they've all been able to stay healthy and intact. That's a big part of it. And then not just the captains, but the upperclassmen, because we had a couple of really disappointing games that we had to bounce back from, and I credit the leaders for really making that happen. And that's probably the number one thing that has really driven this team and helped us get 7 wins.
But, that's an interesting point, too, that they're healthy. Because you had Lander Barton, you had guys that you wanted to be in a leadership. But, Hans, I got to imagine if you're tied up in the training room trying to rehab a knee or trying to get you can't, your voice doesn't carry any weight in a locker room.
Man. No. People are like, what are you talking about? Shut up, man. You didn't run the gassers.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? Shut up, dude. You weren't in there repping out 225. What are you talking about, man? Hustle. You hustle.
Yeah.
You hustle and get your stupid knee or elbow or concussion better. How about that? Shut your mouth until you're back out there sweating with us. You're right. Nobody cares about the guy in the tub. So got to be on the field to lead. I talked about Wayshawn Parker and the momentum. Wayshawn Parker going into the bye week put up 145 yards at 14.5 yards per carry on Colorado. Then put up 104 yards at 6.1 yards per carry on Cincinnati, number 17, Cincinnati. That's the Wayshawn Parker that's got to finish. What does Coach Mack call Marky out the wire?
Oh.
Squiggly?
Yeah, something squiggy.
Curly.
Oh, is it Curly? Yeah, I think it might be Curly.
Is it Curly? I think it's Curly. Curly's room needs the ball. Marky out the wire has got to have his guys clicking.
So Wayshawn Parker on the season is averaging nearly 7 yards a carry. But he's almost averaging more per carry than he's averaging in attempts per game. He's at 9 attempts a game. Shouldn't that number be 14, 15 at least? Because you got Devin Dampier averaging nearly 12 carries a game.
So in this offense, I think it could safely be in that margin. I think in this offense, it could safely be in the 14 to 18.
But he's got Nakari Rogers averaging 9.7.
Do you have his numbers in front of you?
Yeah, yep.
What's the most carries he's had in a game?
Okay, yeah, let me go per game here.
The most carries he's had in a game.
Okay. It was last game against Cincinnati. He had 17.
Okay, so that was his 104, right?
Yep. He had 10 for 145 against Colorado, like you mentioned. BYU only 8 carries for 23. 10 for 55 against Arizona State. 9 against West Virginia. 6 against Texas Tech. Wyoming, he had 10. Cal Poly 6. UCLA 11.
Well, so I to a certain extent, I kind of get it because I'm also a Nakari Rogers fan.
Yes, and Nakari's averaging almost exactly the same amount of carries a game.
So that's kind of the deal. It's like I would say, no, man. You press him, you ride him, but I actually really like Nakari Rogers. And he's just not somebody he's not somebody I want to sit on the bench and not pay attention to.
Yeah.
One thing I look at is the passing usage of Wayshawn Parker.
Mm-hmm.
They just don't use him in the passing game. They don't really use their running backs in the passing game. I think that's a wrinkle that could open up through the final 3 games. This is there's just opportunity there. And I think that's a wrinkle that could open up. I think Wayshawn and Nakari have soft hands, and I think both of them could make a difference there. But there's just not a lot of passing usage to either one of them. Okay, so give me 14 carries by Wayshawn and give me 14 carries by Nakari against Baylor.
Yeah.
A team that gives up 178 yards a game on the ground.
Utah's going to come out of that game with 200 yards rushing.
They should come out of it with 230.
Yeah.
I think so. Between those 3, Dampier, Nakari, and Wayshawn. I think against Baylor, this is just how I would attack Baylor. Against Baylor, I'm going to my offensive front. I'm saying, hey, boys, we're going to make a name for ourselves, and we're going to run combos, and we are going to shove Wayshawn, Dampierre, and Nakari down their throat. We're going to go for 230 plus. We're going to keep it on the ground, and we'll use our pass game to kind of entertain the fans. But this is going to be our identity through these next 3 games, because I do think Kansas State, and Baylor, I think there's all opportunities to put your powerful foot on them. Because Texas Tech is the only one that's proven against both BYU and Utah that they can get in the game of toughness and interior fight. I don't think Baylor, Kansas, or Kansas State can do that.
Hans and Scotty, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Coming up a little bit later on, Josh Furlong will join us. Oh, Josh Furlong will join us coming up next. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Let's go! Complete game coverage of the Cougars is right here on the KSL Sports Zone. The Cougars return home for a battle against TCU. Your home for the best coverage of Cougar football is right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. This is Hans Olsen and Scotty G, presented by Mountain Land Supply on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Woo!
Hans Olsen, Scott Gerard, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Hey, Scotty, am I biting off more than I can chew? Did you see the tweet that I just put out?
I did not.
For every sack Utah and BYU put up this weekend, I pledge to eat that many cheese coney 3-ways from Skyline Chili in Cincinnati the following week. Let it be done. Let it be written.
Wow. I like that.
So
let's say, could you handle 6 or 7, like 3 sacks for each?
I mean, I'm not putting a timeline. If I've got to sit there for 2 hours and eat, I'll do it.
Look at you.
I have been thinking about the Skyline Chili ever since the trip to Cincinnati was announced. And I know it's weird because it's not everybody's favorite, but it's something that I've really built a taste for, become accustomed to. And by the way, look at this. I've got their menu up here in front of me. They've got a 3-way potato. The last time I was there, they didn't have a baked potato. You can go 3-way on a potato. But potatoes are way more hearty than conies.
Yeah, you're going to have a harder time with that.
I'm going to just go conies.
All right, making his Hans and Scotty debut from KSL.com, it is Josh Furlong, Utah Insider. Josh, how you doing?
Hello, Josh.
I'm doing well. How are you gentlemen today?
Hey, how many conies am I going to end up eating? How many sacks can Utah put up against Baylor?
Ooh, that's a good question. We'll go. How about 4.5? Can I give you the over under on that?
Okay, 4.5. Give me the over under. If I was, you know what? Wait, Josh. So Scotty is our resident line setter.
Oh, okay, my bad.
So Scotty,
no, you're all good, Josh.
Set the line for us on sacks
for Utah.
Yeah, Utah and Baylor.
I will put it at. You know what? I'll go with Josh on this one. I was thinking 3.5, but let's bump it up to 4.5. Would you take the over or under on that, Josh?
Yeah, it's tough, right? Like I think that 3.5, I would far more go on the over. 4.5 is a tough number, but you know, it just depends on what this team comes out with, right? I mean, John Henry Daly has been phenomenal out there. You know, he can't do it all by any means, but I think if he can get going and if he can get in that backfield, you have to like what Utah can do, especially in that kind of realm of the havoc plays.
Baylor right now is giving up about 2 sacks a game. Give me the under, but I'm putting it at 4.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So I feel like I'm going to be eating 4 conies from the Utah side of things. Man, I could possibly be eating 3 conies from the BYU side of things. That's 7, dude. That's 7.
That's a lot of Pepto you're going to be working through.
Have you ever had a Skyline Chili dog or any kind of Skyline Chili, Josh?
I have not. I've heard a lot about it, and it just doesn't seem that appetizing to me. So maybe one of these days, when I get out to Cincinnati, we'll do that. How about that?
Oh, son, you're missing out on that.
Oh, you got to give it a shot.
Continue to live in your little hollow dwelling.
Oh, stop it.
No, you can't. You've got to get Skyline Chili in you and on you.
He's our first time on the show. We got to build up to that.
First time, long time.
Yeah,
sorry, Josh.
That's right. No, you're good.
All right. Hey, all right. So Utah, when they're winning, they're blowing teams out on average 39-14. Their score differential this year. What has been the biggest change in the offense? Is it more Jason Beck or more Devin Dampier?
Ooh, that's a good question. I would lean probably more on Devin Dampier just because of what he's able to do on the defenses, right? Like they don't know exactly what he's going to provide. And so is he going to throw it? Is he going to run? Is he going to have a keeper? Is he going to option out? Which we haven't honestly seen a ton of options, but they still keep that in their bag. But I think with what he's able to do and just being a true dual threat quarterback, I think that has been much more apparent. Now, Jason Beck should deserve a ton of credit here simply because he's made this more simple, right? He's honed in on what is successful for Utah. He's not forcing a lot of these guys to read a Bible of an offense to be able to do it. You get a lot of these transfer guys in, and they've been able to acclimate pretty easily. But with that said, I mean, this is still a Kyle Whittingham led type offense in the sense that they're going to establish the run. They're going to make that the priority. And this year more than ever, they just have a bunch of guys that can do that, whether that be at your corner or quarterback, whether that be your two back, in the backfield with Wayshawn Parker and Akari Rogers. But now you add that option with Daniel Bray. It just gives that offense a lot more ability to kind of do a lot. So I'd probably lean with Devin Dampier. But that's tough because that does take away a lot of the credit that Jason Beck has done for this team.
Give me your 30,000-foot view of Jason Beck.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a guy that he understands that there's not one simple way to beat a team, right? Like, and there's still things where I think he's evolving as a play caller and that he's still evolving as an individual. But I think what he's able to do is just simplify it enough where he can find what works for a specific team. In years past, he hasn't always had a Devin Dampier. He hasn't always had a guy that can be a mobile quarterback, but he's finding ways to be able to be effective in what he does and with what the talent that he has. And you hear this with coaches all the time. Like, oh yeah, we're gonna style our offense based off of the personnel we have. There's very few that actually can do that. And I feel like Jason has done a really good job of actually cementing that and being able to do that in a way where he really is leaning in on that. It helps that they have a phenomenal offensive line that can kind of lead the charge there. But I think with Jason Beck, he's willing to try new things. He's willing to adapt, and he's willing to kind of go with the times where in the transfer portal era, you're not going to have an offense that's going to stay consistent for 2-3 years. It's going to be one that's going to continually evolve and change every single year.
Josh Furlong, KSL.com, joining us right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Did you see the emergence of John Henry Daly and what he's meant to this Utah defense before the season started?
Well, it's funny because like there was always talk about him as being a guy that could potentially get in the mix, but the conversations that I'd had with people before that, it was, he's part of it, but he's probably not the guy that's going to be the leader of that. Logan Fano was still going to be the guy that was leading that room. You had him with Paul Fitzgerald that was going to kind of be mixing it up as 1A, 1B type mentality. And something clicked, right? Like he got on that field and something clicked, and he's been this phenomenal athlete that has this high motor. He refuses to quit. He just is everything that this defense needs. And, he's one of those players that just kind of shines when the bright lights are on. And I think you can't teach that, right? You can't simulate that in practice. You can't kind of understand what that's going to be. And that's been the world of difference. Now, that's not to take any credit away from him because he's always been this guy, whether it be at BYU or now at Utah, he's always been there. It's now just kind of showing up and manifesting itself on the field.
Josh, it feels like Kyle Whittingham's defenses have always been top 15 in run stop defense. What is it about this defense that's struggling to stop the run at times?
Yeah, I mean, I think they have the talent. It's not, especially in that defensive tackle room, it's not a lot of veteran faces. There are some veterans there, but ones that aren't necessarily, they haven't had a ton of playing time. Like a Dallas Vakalahi, had he been in that unit, that would have maybe potentially added a lot more consistency because he's been able to be in the system and be able to do what they need to. But they're relying on guys that have been either role players or freshmen to be able to fill in there. You also have some linebackers that as part of that changes it. It also changes with the safeties when you lose a guy. Like everything kind of like escalates from there, or there's a ripple effect, I would say. And so there's some of that. I mean, some of it is honestly just this team is out of position at times, right? Like they're pursuing right, they're getting where they need to, but maybe they're just out of assignment or out of position just a little bit, and that's been the challenge. So it's been different, right? It's been different to see this team not be as effective in the run as in years past, but they've kind of flipped that where they're much better in the pass offense than they are in the run defense. And so it's been different, but it's working for them in a way that, only they can kind of figure out.
Hans and I were discussing this in the previous segment. I want to get your thoughts on this. Wayshawn Parker has been an absolute beast, especially over the last 2 games. He did have 17 carries against Cincinnati, but on the season, averaging about 9.5 carries a game, nearly 10. In a perfect world, would you like to bump that up to 15 to 17 carries?
Yeah, I mean, I think Wayshawn has kind of proven himself at this point where he deserves the majority of the reps. Now, that's not to say Nakari isn't talented, and they obviously have they utilize him in a different way, whether that be in third down situations, third and short, fourth and short situations. But I think Wayshawn has proven that he just kind of has more of that versatility to him. Obviously, he can be a bruising type quarter or running back, but he can also be a guy that can get out into space and then just turn on the after jets and go down the field. So, I think with what he's been able to do the last few weeks, it really kind of shows that he should be getting more carries. That's not to say that they can't still complement these other players or utilize them. Ideally, you would give Wayshawn a little bit more carries than put it on Devin Dampier so that his impact is less, especially being injured and having the season that he's had. This is where it needs to be, where you kind of now need to start leaning in on that while still recognizing that you do have other talented players that you can utilize.
All right, so Josh, with the remaining schedule, 2 road games, Baylor, Kansas, and then Kansas State at home. Baylor and the 2 Kansas teams. Let's just say they run the table, not even really taking into consideration what anybody else does in the Big 12. What do you think their odds are making the CFP?
Yeah, I mean, I think they're primed in a good position, but it's still going to be a challenge, right? Like, I don't see a world where the Big 12 is ever going to get 3, and so there has to be a world where you either jump BYU, which is a tall task because BYU obviously has the head-to-head over them, even at a 7-2, and so I feel like they're kind of boxed in a way where they're dependent on how BYU does, but they're also dependent on other factors outside of their control. Now, with that said, the stats love Utah. You can look at a bunch of different stats from a lot of these national guys. Utah is clearly highly ranked in a lot of these areas because of what they've been able to do efficiently on the offensive side of the ball, on the defensive side of the ball. But where does that lie in the world of in the Big 12, right? They clearly we're going toe to toe with Texas Tech for a while, and then Texas Tech completely smothered them at the end of the game. They obviously lose to BYU. You've got these 2 teams above them that make it challenging. And I just don't know a world where they can get an at-large bid above BYU. Now, that's not to say it couldn't happen. BYU can lose, right? Like, there's things that can happen. But I think they're kind of in this tough spot where they're boxed in. The committee can do what they want, and they can kind of change how that is. Maybe the trajectory is better for Utah and BYU is going down. I don't know. We don't know what these next 3 games will be. But I think there's still a shot, right? And I think at the end of the day, as long as you have a shot, that means something good for your program. Obviously, you want to be in the playoff, and getting a bowl game after being in consideration for the playoff is a tough situation. But I think given where Utah was last year, this has to be a sign of success, right? Like, you have to use this as an opportunity to build. It's not what people want to hear. They want to hear going to the playoff. But I think they're still in a prime position. It's just a matter of kind of really what's around them as opposed to what they're doing on the field.
Kyle Whittingham and the staff obviously put together a remarkable team, and you wish you could have split those Texas Tech and BYU games. But if this team runs the table, which I think they should, and they're convincing in doing it, and they're able to get a Big 12 title spot, let's say Cincinnati beats BYU and Utah wins the tiebreakers, if Utah rematches Texas Tech, do you feel like that game would go differently?
I think it has a chance. I still think that Texas Tech defense is legit. There's not a lot of teams that are going to move the ball on them and be able to really establish the ground game like Utah has. That's been the challenge of Utah is, they're absolutely effective in the ground game, but if you stop it, they haven't been able to prove it very well outside of a West Virginia type opponent that you can pass the ball. And so I think, there's trickiness there. I don't truly believe that there's a lot of greatness in Texas Tech's offense, and clearly their red zone offense has been terrible to the point where they can't score touchdowns. So, I mean, maybe it's a close game, but, I think Texas Tech still has the odds right here, and it would be a challenge. But I think that's where, if Utah gets to the championship game, they have to win. I don't see a world where Utah gets 3 losses and suddenly they're in, unless that's a really close game to Texas Tech and it falls that way.
Are you ready to be a voter again on the top 60 and 60?
Oh, my favorite, maybe my favorite time of the year, right?
Yeah, we're changing it up a little bit. We're actually going to do, because there were so many transfers, and it was just hard to really grasp who was there and what they could do. So we did a 60 and 60 watch list, and now we're going to do a rank at the end of the season. So people won't get mad at us before the year, but they will get mad at us after the year is over.
Oh, yeah.
So
At least we'll have something to look back on, though, right?
exactly.
Saving the pain for later.
Yep. Hey, Josh, we appreciate it. Looking forward to many more of these chats.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
See
Appreciate
you,
it.
Josh.
Josh Furlong, KSL.com, Utah Insider, right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Okay, so over under Coney's 7. And I wonder how long it would take me to. They aren't big, but the cheese is hearty.
Yeah, and the chili, it's going to get you.
Jason Shepard weighed in on the tweet,
Oh, okay.
and he said prayers up to the booth. But I'm hoping
After, well, it's got to be after.
Yes. So I'm hoping for a 10 a.m. kick. You know, they put it on a 6-day hold.
Yeah.
So we won't know BYU Cincinnati kick time for a little bit.
And you are going to
Monday?
you're going to the game on Sunday too, right? The NFL game.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. So we may have trouble there, possibly.
Yeah, that car ride over could be interesting.
I might have to do it for breakfast, like an early breakfast or something, because we don't
You're
fly out of
fine.
Cincinnati till like 8
Just
p.m.
live a little.
You know, like I always hated being the big guy on an airplane because when somebody cuts one, they immediately look at you, and I'm like, hey, it wasn't me.
You were never that big.
Oh, I was that big, where people would be like,
Scotty.
that guy.
I would be lying if I told you I didn't look at the biggest person when the stink comes.
Yeah,
But
and you immediately
you
go.
were not that big.
Yes, I was. You immediately go to the big guy, which is complete fat shaming, and not right, but sometimes very much deserved.
Just so you know, if there's body odor, people still look at me just because I kind of wear that, that Weezer WT. Like they're just looking at me like it's got to be this guy with the. If he did have hair, he'd have a mullet. I just wear it on my face. And we're years of hard living on my face.
You know,
This guy hasn't showered in 3 days, I guarantee it. They're most likely right.
I don't know which is bothering me more, when people would make cracks about the weight or the age thing. Because the other day when I was going in for the old colonoscopy, the lady, well, first off, that I have to do that, and then second of all, she's like, "So, do you still work or are you retired?"
Oh, that one's not cool.
I'm like, "What? Wait,
Did you say, are you pregnant?
yeah."
I mean,
like,
you do
how-
look wealthy, so maybe that's what
that-
she's meaning.
she's
No,
like,
that's when you turn and you say, so when do you do? Like
Oh.
that's the only thing you can do, dude. Like, you got to fight fire with fire. She's taking a shot. So you got to take your shot back and just be like, oh my gosh, so what, 8 months? 9
Yeah.
months along?
"What trimester are you in? The 5th?"
Are you in your 10th month? Gestation of an elephant? How you doing? Like that's a shot, Scotty.
It hurt bad. It hurt bad.
Well, I'm still sick of that puke that went at us at Mount West Conference Media Days.
Oh, I know, right?
On air.
Yeah.
He called you 68.
Maybe she wasn't
I mean,
going
me
with it. He looked
62.
old. Like I said, maybe she looks like, wow, he looks like he's really wealthy, so probably doesn't have to work.
Lloyd,
Oh, whoa. Did
What?
you have your scarf and overcoat on? Did you have that?
He probably had one of his.
I didn't. I
jackets.
I don't do the scarf, but I did do the that coat that Lloyd likes.
That's enough to think wealthy.
What do you call that? Like it's an overcoat, but I don't know.
A
There's
duster?
like I don't know. It's not a duster.
No, it's the lawyer coat.
Oh, I call it it's the Craig Hansen.
It's the lawyer coat.
Man, you can pull him from anywhere. That's impressive.
It's the Craig Hansen,
That's
which does say, I'm extremely wealthy, very popular.
yeah. Well, you can get him at Old
Well,
Navy for like
he wears
$40.
that jacket, and he's got the nice leather gloves that he wears
Oh,
in the
stop it!
wintertime.
I'm not isotoner in it. I'm not Dan Marino-ing it.
Whoa, are you?
No,
you wearing the
Stop.
isotoners?
No.
Stop.
No, I've never owned a pair of gloves that you wear just around.
Not during the winter. Now that you get very cold.
I could see Scotty walking into the Eccles Theater, stomping the snow off of his very high class boots, unwrapping his scarf and pulling off his isotoners, and looking at everybody down his nose like, no, where are my box seats?
Where are the box seats at? Yes. All right, Hans and Scotty. I don't know. This turned on me quickly. I don't like this. Hans and Scotty, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Nobody gets you ready for Utah football more than the KSL Sports Zone.
Ready?
Kyle Whittingham and the Utes hit the road to Waco for a showdown against Baylor. Your home for the best coverage of Utah football is right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. This is Hans Olsen and Scotty G, presented by Mountain Land Supply on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Hans Olsen, Scott Gerard, 97.5. It's a Thursday, which means it's a Ute Preview Show. Normally we have the dulcet tones of one Frank Dolce, but Frank wants to hang out calling high school games as opposed to being with us, which, all right, fine. That's cool. It's the playoffs. We get it. Coming up next, though, Hans, we will get the color analyst for the Baylor Bears. Will join us straight ahead. All kinds of stuff brewing in Baylor. We'll talk more about that coming up a little bit later on the show. But by the way, Mark Harlan has now been formally approved to be on the College Football Playoff Selection Committee. And the promotion and the Arkansas Athletic, because the athletic director at Baylor was not just on the committee, he was the chairman of the committee. Well, there's some stuff brewing in Baylor. He's been taken off that. He's been given a leave of absence for personal reasons. So they move up the Arkansas AD. He becomes the chair, and now Mark Harlan of the University of Utah is on the College Football Playoff Committee in kind of an emergency role.
What was his name?
The Baylor AD?
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Oh, yeah, Mark Rhodes. Okay. I'm just looking at the committee here, Scotty. Right there.
Yep.
So Mark Harlan, congratulations to Mark.
Yeah.
Or, dang.
Condolences to Mark.
I don't know which way to go because you're one of 13 individuals that sets the stage.
Yeah.
And I don't recognize anybody else of the 13.
Oh, I know Chris Alt. He was at Nevada forever. Chris Alt's a good dude.
Troy Dannon.
Mark D'Antonio, former Michigan State coach.
Oh, okay.
Jeff
Long.
Jeff Long sounds familiar. I can't space him. Ivan Mizell's a sports writer.
Chris Mazzaro.
Mike Riley, former Oregon State coach.
Okay, I do know Mike. Jeez, Mike got
old.
Yeah. I didn't recognize the picture.
Those guys, nobody on that bottom list I know.
Connor
anyway,
Williams, yeah.
Mac Rhodes, yes. There you go.
Well, good for Mr. Harlan.
Yes. Hans and Scotty, hour number 2 of the Utah Preview Show coming up next. Hour number 3 of the show. Overall, straight ahead, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.